モチベーションになるので、高評価とチャンネル登録もよろしくお願いします。前回の場所から開始します。Revert. On his death, the house would revert to its original owners. Reciprocate. He felt obligated to reciprocate the giving of any gift he received. Relegate. The once great star was relegated to a reserve position of the national soccer team. Suppliant. The Prime Minister suspected that the man of trying to supplant him. Lament. People around the world lamented the death of legendary actor. Exasperate. She was so exasperated by her husband's complaints that she slammed the door. Tenet. One of the tenets of liberalism is a belief in freedom of speech. Perimeter. The perimeter of the base was regularly patrolled by guards. Jurisdiction. The police could not make an arrest because they lacked illegal jurisdiction. Precursor. When the wind grows stronger, we knew it was a precursor of the coming hurricane. Prevalence. The prevalence of computers has both merits and disadvantages. Referendum. A local referendum in California approved the use of marijuana for medical purpose. Velocity. Technical development have increased the velocity of trains. Leverage. The man insisted that he had no leverage on the present administration. Fugitive. How could anyone know that such a nice young man was a fugitive from justice? Hoax. The UFO sighting turned out to be a student hoax. Conglomerate. His small business was taken over by a huge conglomerate. Echelon. People from the company's higher echelons willingly visit the branch. Aversion. The woman said she had an aversion to people smoking near her. Deportation. The government announced the immediate deportation of 5 diplomats. Conjecture. The defense attorney insisted that his client be the lodge. Biblical story describes a great deluge that floods earth. Hindrance. The greatest hindrance to their studies was a lack of up-to-date textbook. Clique. Exclusive clique in school. Condolence. I sent a card to my friend offering my condolence over his recent loss. Amenity. He was used to the amenities of luxury hotels, so he was unhappy that the small cottage lacked them. Complacency. The company's complacency allowed its rival to grow successful and rule away its clients. Charlatan. The prince was revealed to be charlatan and related to royalty. Felony. Anyone convicted of a felony in the United States may lose some of his rights as a citizen. Anesthetic. He was given a complete anesthetic before the operation on his stomach. Persecution. The spokesman denied that any persecution of dissident had taken place. Basin. The mountains around the city form a natural basin that became very hot in the summer. Chaos. As the Civil War spread, the country fell into chaos and food was hard to come by. 高評価ありがとうございます。Formula. The mathematician created a complex formula for predicting future interest rates. Holder. The job advertisement said that only holders of university degrees need apply. Liberty. Since the collapse of many totalitarian regimes, the importance of civil liberties has been increasingly recognized. It's really hard to say. Mankind. In recent years, great progress has been made in tracing the early movements of mankind. Modernization. The kind of modernization that means the destruction of the natural environment has been increasingly questioned. Questionnaire. As they left the movie theater, they were asked to fill out a questionnaire concerning the film. Stroke. In the middle of delivering a lecture, the veteran scholar suffered a stroke and died. Tomb. There was a line of stone tomb in a cathedral containing the bodies of medieval kings. Morsel. She ate a morsel of cake and declared herself full. Next is maneuver. The company's clever maneuver and the market solidified its monopoly. Next is intricate. Her mystery novels are intricate puzzles. Percent. As the judge did not think that the evidence was Persian, he threw it out. Rampant. Some say that bribery and extortion are rampant in post-communist Russia. Void. The area was void of houses for as far as he could see. Volatility. As the housing market was very volatile in the city, the newlywed couple purchased a house in suburbs. Caustic. She was offended by her best friend's caustic remarks. Candid. Political meetings hardly ever seem to be constructive and candid. Next is avid. The professor was an avid reader of detective fiction in his spare time. Apathetic. He did his best to stimulate the students, but they remained apathetic. Erroneous. They came to the erroneous conclusion that he was responsible for the accident. Buoyant. When she won prize in the speech contest, she felt buoyant. Okay, next. Okay. Next is gregarious. Dogs are gregarious creatures that travel in packs. Circumstantial. The police decided not to persecute as they could only find circumstantial evidence against him. Frivolous. The lecturer said that he would not answer such a frivolous question. Idyllic. My siblings and I share an idyllic memory of our childhood on the farm. Fervent. The letter from the king was fervent culminations to love. Diminutive. Jockeys must be of diminutive size for their host to be competitive. Euphoric. That's right. The town people became euphoric when the local team won. Euphoric. Okay, sorry. Fastidious. The new employee's fastidious attention to details is often a waste of time. Next is fastidious. Oh. The new employee's fastidious attention to details is often waste of time. Adjunct. He found a job as an adjunct professor, but he wanted to become a permanent staff member. Frigid. The winters in the Northern American states are extremely frigid. Cynical. The hero of the movie was a cynical old detective who suddenly discovers the ideals of his youth. Insufficient. Although the music festival brought in a lot of money, it was insufficient to cover the cost of staging it. Next is swift. The swift response on the government force took the rebels by surprise, and they were defeated. Tolerant. The local people by and large took a tolerant attitude towards the newcomers to their area. Menial. Despite his qualifications, the migrant's doctor was forced to take menial job to survive. Lethargic. The humid water made him feel lethargic and irritable. Momentous. The momentous decision to go war was made. Irascible. All thought he was known as irascible. His true nature was soft-hearted. Intriguing. He brought the book because of its intriguing cover. Okay. Invertebrate. Few believed his story because he was known to be an inveterate liar. Not good. Statistically. The social scientists demonstrate statistically the excellence of discrimination. Section 12. Okay. Ratify. Congress will often not ratify bills proposed by the president. Perpetrate. The Cook businessman was found guilty of perpetrating fraud. Nudge. When the meeting opened, my colleague nudged me to be quiet. Revamp. The company employed a team of PR consultants to revamp its image. Reinstate. The policeman was reinstated when the charges against him were shown to be false. Pester. She told her little brother not to pester her while she was doing her homework. Stunt. Years of poor management has stunted the company's profits. Negate. His research negated the government's claim that it was uninvolved. Next is smear. The man smeared butter and honey on a chunk of bread. Superge. He splurged most of the inheritance on expensive holiday abroad. Anchor. The ship was anchored in a port when the storm hit, so it suffered little damage. Bypasses. The dissidents were educated the public by using the internet. Deem. Any movies that deem offensive or obscene by authors. Trim. The chairman said that they would have to trim the workforce if they want. Envelope. The whole area was enveloped in snow, creating a beautiful winter landscape. He was dropping out of the class but hastened to add that he had enjoyed it. Transgression. In the present, even minor transgressions were severely punished. Stalemate. After days of fighting, the armies reached a stalemate. Onslaught. The little town withstood the enemy's onslaught for 3 days. Solace. After his wife died, the man sought solace in his work. Pretend. He called me under the pretense of inviting me to a party. Next is quirk. One of his quirks was to read student essay in a bath. Respite. Peacekeeping force only provided a temporary respite from the violence. Pollination. Bees play an important role in the pollination of many fruit trees. Pinnacle. and injury forced the soccer player to retire at the pinnacle of his career. Reparation. As reparation for being late, he offered to pay for the meal. Abolition. The opposition party declared its support for the abolition of the death penalty. Admiration. By refusing to leave the capital during the bombing raids, the king won the admiration of his people. Aftermath. In the aftermath of the earthquake, many people suffered from cold and hunger. Anonymity. The anonymity of social networking service is often abused by people who leave insulting comments. Antibody. Many people see the discipline of anthropology as closely linked to imperialism. Bulk. Although a few students were politically active, the bulk of them were completely indifferent to politics. Cathedral. The great medieval cathedral of Europe often took more than a century to build. Next is correction. The minister said that he would use persuasion rather than coercion to get the demonstration to leave. Wow, nice. Confirmation. The witness provided confirmation of the defendant's alibi and so helped him to go free. Contention. The document became a source of bitter contention, some saying it was fake and others that it was genuine. Cruelty. Many Christian readers have emphasized the cruelty of the ancient Rome. Next is what is next? Cue. The actor waited at the side of the stage for his cue to enter. Debut. Originating being a model, she made her acting debut on only recently. Determination. The tennis player herself said that her success owed more to determination than natural talent. Dominance. The traditional male dominance of politics is being challenged by many younger female politicians. Endorsement. The government's environmental policy won a lot of endorsement from climate activists from around the country. Execution. The school children were set to make an excursion to a science museum in the city. Extremist. The political party had been infiltrated by extremists who sought to promote their own radical politics. Frustration. Each time he took the driver test and failed, his frustration grew. Next is glare. In order to reduce glare, they covered the galley windows with a film of plastic. Groundwater. Industrial pollution of groundwater is a threat to the health of both humans and animals. Next is homicide. The number of homicides in some U.S. cities has dropped sharply over the past decades. Imaginary. Police. In the literature class, they discuss the natural imagery used by the poet. Lecture. The young scholar worked as a lecturer at various universities. Legislators have many other duties apart from debating and passing laws. Liberation. In its early days, the feminist movement was often called woman liberation. Lieutenant. A lieutenant is either the lowest of the second lowest rank of officer in an army. Maternity. A new law was passed granting maternity leave for all expectant mothers. Membranes. Virus damage cells by penetrating their membranes and entering them. Memorial. Every year, monarchs visit the war memorial and leave a wreath in memory of those who died. Okay. Merger. When the two companies announced their merger, many employees began to worry about their jobs. Mob. An angry mob gathered in the streets demanding that the government resign. Monarchy. The British monarchy had been through a period of extreme unpopularity in the past. Ulterior. Their job offered to me was so generous that I suspected an ulterior motive. Sporadic. He made only sporadic effort to prepare for the entrance examination. Okay, next is uh, uh, omniscient. The expert has had an apparently omniscient knowledge of his field. Next. Um, Squeamish. The movie is not for those who are squeamish. Sluggish. The sloth is characterized by its unusually sluggish movements. Okay, next. Poignant. This classic novel is one of the most famous and poignant love stories in Western literature. Okay, next is verbose. I quickly got tired of the author's verbose style. Onerous. He found dealing with students' parents and especially onerous duty. Abusive. Abusive. After she published her articles, she received many abusive comments from members of the public. Acidic. One effect of air pollution is to make seas and lakes more acidic. Okay, next is advantages. Uh, the studies show that coming from an educated family is advantageous in life. Okay, next is advisory. He worked for the prime minister is an advisory role. Okay, next. Aquatic. Some aquatic mammals, such as dolphins, are highly intelligent. Okay, next is charismatic. She was a charismatic teacher adored by her students. Nice. Next is capitalist. Capitalist countries are usually reluctant to allow the state to regulate uh, economic activity. Corporative. Contrary of his fears, the high school student turned out to be corporate. Definitive. Although no definitive proof for the theory has been found, many scientists assume it is true. Diagnostic. Artificial intelligence is increasingly being used as a diagnostic tool by doctors. Okay, next. What is next? Okay. Hierarchical. The company had a very hierarchical structure, uh, and younger employees rarely mingled with older ones. Okay, next is infamous. The area around the docks was infamous for its many silly bars and clubs. Insignificant. He believes that although vaccinations carry some risk, they are insignificant compared to the advantages. Interactive. Okay. The department prides itself on its small interactive classes based on discussions between the teacher and the students. Managerial. These days, many people in managerial positions find themselves working longer and longer hours. Desperately. The hospital said that it desperately needed volunteers to help treat those sick with the disease. Okay, section 13. So, the field revolution sowed the seeds of the guerrilla movements which sprang up later in the country's jungle. Next is omit. Certain passages which criticize the government were omitted from later editions of the book. Okay, next is assuage. The foreign minister did his best to assuage public fears of a war breaking out. Next is say. At the end of the war, the defeated country was forced to cede the island to its neighbor. Next is quasi. The different environmental group finally coalesced into one large organization. Divulge. They secretly refused to divulge the chairman's home telephone number but agreed to pass on a message. Next is domesticate. Domesticate animals such as cows and hogs have played a huge role in human history. Douse. The firefighters attempted to douse the flames, but they were unsuccessful and the house burned down. Next is enchant. When she went out of the balcony, she was enchanted by the beautiful view of the mountains. Okay, next is impeach. The governor of the state was impeached for taking briberies from local businessmen. Next is infringe. Many people denounced the new law for infringing on the right to privacy. Maim. In the hospital, there were many soldiers who had been maimed during the war. Misinterpret. Many people misinterpret the comedy as a racist when in fact that was satirizing racist attributes. Okay, next is outstrip. Demand for tickets to the concert far outstrip the number of seats available. Okay, next is what is next? Overemphasize. Universities naturally have a tendency to overemphasize their strengths and to downplay their weakness. Okay, next is redirect. The government decided to redirect some of its foreign aid to the defense budget. Regress. As the Roman Empire collapsed, some parts of Europe regressed to a more primitive lifestyle. Reunity. After America's Civil War, the most pressing need was to reunite the divided nation. Sequester. In a new reality show, 10 ordinary people were sequestered from their daily lives and placed on a tropical island. Solidify. The government gradually solidified its control of the rival territory. Okay, next is venerate. The old man was venerated by many younger athletes as the greatest athlete of the century. Okay, next is Proctal. Official Proctal made it difficult for the king to comment on the rumors about his marriage. Raid. At midnight, the police carried out a raid of nightclub looking for illegal drugs. Rein. She was a strict mother who kept a tight rein on her children's behavior. Retailer. During the economic recession, many small retailers went bankrupt. Rhetoric. The politician used emotive rhetoric to appeal to the audience. Next is Senate. After years of serving in local government, he was able to win a seat in Senate. Shipment. The customs official used dog to check all incoming shipments for concealed narcotics. Shortcoming. Critics were quick to point out the shortcomings on her research, which relied on a very small body of evidence. Shrub. In general, shrubs are together and need less care than other kinds of plants. Skepticism. His claim that alien being had visited the Earth was met with widespread skepticism. Sophistication. The sophistication of the young boy's language amazed everyone at the party. Strand. When she found of hair in a bath, she felt quietly disguised. Synthesis. Chemical synthesis has led to the creation of many useful new products. Taxation. Conservative governments often lower the taxation of large companies, arguing that it allows the system of capitalism to flourish. Tenant. When the landlord once again raised the rent, many tenants responded by withholding their payments. Transcript. Appliances were asked to produce an official transcript on their high school grades. Okay, next is vacuum. The inventor designed a new kind of vacuum cleaner, which quickly became a hit around the world. Vulnerability. Illegal immigrants suffer from a vulnerability to blackmail and so often have to accept poor working conditions. Addictive. Recently, more people have started to check what additives foodstuff contain. Billionaire. When his first song was a worldwide hit, the young sister became billionaire overnight. Okay, next is Christianity. Christianity is usually said to have the most followers in any religion. Next is what is next? Clot. Blood clots in the brain can be dangerous as they are cause of strokes. Next is condominium. Many condominiums had been built along the seafront in order to take advantage of the view. Dealership. Most towns in the United States had at least one car dealership. Foe. The political influence his many foes by easily winning a third elections. Fundraising. A big fundraising dinner was held to support the building of a new wing at a hospital. Insurgency. When an insurgency broke out in the north of the country, the government immediately sent in troops. Nausea. One of the side effects in the medicine was an intense feeling of nausea. Patriotism. In many countries, older people worry about a lack of patriotism among the young. Okay, next is replica. The local market, they were stalls selling cheap replicas of ancient coins and statues. Squeak. The boy heard some squeak coming from the cupboard, and when he opened it, there was a mouse inside. Oh my gosh. Okay. Vaccination. These days, many false rumors about the dangers of vaccinations are being spread up the internet. Wrinkle. Getting wrinkles is an inevitable part of human aging. Migrant. When there is a downturn in the economy, migrants are usually among the first to be affected. Accolade. The old actor received many accolades for his performance in the film. Bigotry. The minority leader accused the police of bigotry and discrimination. Burglar. While she was away, burglars broke into her house and stole most of her jewelry. Byproduct. The waste generated as a byproduct when making leather is very harmful to the environment. Conservationist. In his later years, the philosopher became a leading conservationist and critic of industrial capitalism. Consternation. To the consternation of the audience, the professor tripped and fell off the stage. Criminality. Immigrants became unfairly identified with criminality and suffer much discrimination as a result. Multicultural. Implementing multicultural education brings with it many unforeseen challenges. Nasty. During the rugby match, he suffered a nasty cut to the eye and had to retire from the game. Optimal. For optimal results, the diet should be combined with regular exercise such as jogging. Organized. The new secretary was an extremely organized person and much more efficient than her boss. Parliamentary. Under a parliamentary system, the prime minister is usually the leader of the party which gets the most votes. Pivotal. He believed that effective advertising would be pivotal to the success of the new product. Post-war. In many Western countries, social democratic parties won power in the immediate post-war period. Residual. After the strike was over, there was still some residual ill feeling between the workers and management. Tangible. Although the cut in tariffs was welcome, it has yet to have tangible effects on the economy. Tribal. In some African countries, tribal chiefs continue to play a role in government. Unavoidable. Any radical policy on inflation is likely to have an unavoidable negative consequence. Vertical. In some areas with limited space, farmers have begun growing plants on sheaves, have begun growing plants on sheaves arranged in vertical fashion. Viable. All thought his invention attracted a lot of attention. It is still too expensive to be commercially viable. Version. Early settlers soon began to clear the virgin forest in order to grow crops. Worry. People should be worried of investments opportunities that offer very high rates of return. 最後までご視聴いただきありがとうございました。モチベーションになるので、チャンネル登録と高評価、そして英語が話せる友達を作りたいので、シェアもお願いします。また明日も見てください。